Ram Ram. Happy Ramdas's birthday. Although Ramdas really didn't, he would say, why am I celebrating the birth of this body? I'm not this body. Although he did like sweets, so he was of two minds about his birthday. And I was with him quite a lot on his birthday because teaching with him on retreat in Maui, happened to be there quite a lot in April, as well as December, for more than a decade, staying in his home, celebrating with him, going to some fancy restaurants. He liked to do that, which, is so interesting because so often on the process of awakening, we are deconstructing the ego, trying to break our attachment. But it doesn't mean that we can't enjoy life, as part of what I learned from him. We can take what's being offered as just the attachment to it, like I can't live without it, or pushing something away with that same kind of disdain. So that is a beautiful teaching about being open to life and being open to what's coming our way. I'm also remembering, I believe it was 2008 or 2009, Dasi Ma called me and asked me if I would come and take care of Ramdas for 3 weeks while she left the island. And this was a time where Ramdas's health was stronger. It was 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. And so he needed less physical support and could do a lot of his own care. So I think there was one Seva person there. I believe it was Sitaram. And was also there at a time when Mahesh, Bajrang Das's son Mahesh, was there doing seva. So anyway, I went and took care of Ramdas for 3 weeks. And, this is a story about the power of presence. So one of the things Dasi Ma had me do, I was taking care of him, driving him to all his medical appointments, preparing his breakfast, preparing his medication, taking his calls, keeping his calendar. So, just so, a million stories, One time I was putting his shoes on and he kicked my hands away and growled at me. He was a love radiator. And yet he really did have his humanity, he had all his chakras operating. And he this was the teaching of, love everyone. It's like, I could accept, his emotionality, his frustration, and not be confused that that's who he is. I got to learn that with Ramdas also. He kicked my hand away, mainly because he could use his left foot. He wanted to put his own foot in the shoe. God bless him. And so he wanted help with the right foot, not with the left foot, right? His right side was paralyzed. So that was another huge teaching, a small, tiny little moment in not painting people with one brush. I accepted him and love him for, his little angry moments, which he still had till the end, more or less, But even more so, this story of presence, one of the things that I was asked to do, and Dasi Ma did for a long time, and probably still does, is answer letters from people who are asking questions about their life, their process, their triumphs, their challenges. And so my job was to go through all the emails and print out the ones that I felt were the most meaningful to bring before his eyes. And that was a great honor just to do that. So I'd print out, however many emails there were to review, and we would sit together at breakfast. And breakfast with him was just it was a long, lengthy affair. usually a couple hours, or he'd read the paper and, have his favorite food. Sometimes it was grapefruit or eggs or some other things he loved to have. I remember when I got him a grapefruit spoon, made all the difference, that has the edges that are like a knife, because he wanted to do things on his own. So I gave him a gift of grapefruit spoons once. He loved those. And he also had a lot of salad. And how you take your salad, it's often with two pieces like salad tongs and pull them together. Well, you need two hands for that. And I remember getting him a salad tong that you just use with one hand. I mean, they're just the little things. I loved thinking of him, of any little thing that I could do for him that could share anything that related to how much I feel like I had received from him. Kind of like the line in Krishna Das's song that goes something like, I so desperately want to write for you a tune you've never heard. I remember feeling like that with these gifts. So back to the letters. So I have the letters, bring them to breakfast, and after he finishes his breakfast in the paper, kind of the last thing is to go through the letters. And I'd start with a letter and read the story of some mother concerned about her child or about some young person, on their journey and desperate for some kind of message or desperate in their pain. And I'd read the letter, and Ram Dass would be with the mala, with his left hand working the mala. And he would go into himself, into his inner life, close his eyes. And this is where things got so interesting. You could just start to feel a different frequency, a different dimension that we can reach in different settings, in a temple, with ourselves, in satsang. And this is what I felt was happening here. I could really feel into what I'm naming as Ram Dass's communion with his soul, with Maharaji. And then he would come with the answer or some response to the question. I'd write it down in longhand and later would respond in the email. So we would do this for, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It's a little bit fatiguing. And so we finished for the day. He said he was finished, tired, and was going to go up to his quarters. So I got up, I cleared the plates, and I went into the kitchen. I was getting things ready, cleaning up in there. And he's in his wheelchair, and he wheeled himself. He said, okay, see you later. Went to his quarters. And then, about, a second later, he rolled himself backwards, rewinded himself, rolled himself backwards. And he said, Saraswati, you want to do some more letters? And I said, yes, Ram Dass, I'd love to do some more letters. He goes, after a few minutes, come up to my quarters and we'll do some more letters. And so after a few minutes, I went upstairs. And there he is sitting in his lazy boy chair, which looks out over the Pacific Ocean. And in the corner where the wall meets the ceiling, there's a large picture of Maharaji looming down, like holding precedence, holding the space from above. And again, we started the process over. And reading the letters, the deep silence, and this time it was even deeper. I'll just never forget it. And I'm on my way home from India. I'm in transit. I'm in a hotel room right now. Just left India yesterday. And the presence I felt with Ram Dass in his room in Maui, in the sacred container of satsang, it's the same feeling I felt in the temples and the places where Maharaji and Ram Dass sat together. That same timeless stillness that takes you deep into the soul. So there are no words to thank you, Ram Dass, for the endless teachings, the teachings that keep coming, and for the chance to learn about myself, to find the key, to open myself. You showed me that, and I'll be forever grateful. I love you, Baba Ram Dass. Ram Ram.